Hey guys, how you doing? It's Jermaine, and I'm just checking in with you because I had this really strange kind of realization quite recently. I was having a conversation with a family member, and I literally looked at them and said, "I am absolutely broke." Broke. I just kind of started laughing. I mean, that is insane, right? We're sitting here talking about avoiding broke, and I'm thinking I have absolutely no money whatsoever right now. If you check my bank, look in the accounts, you're gonna honestly, you're gonna see piles of dust there. And frankly, even dust may have a little bit more resale value than what I've currently got in the account. And I kind of just wanted to spend a bit of time just explaining why, just sharing that with you a little bit, right? So what we have been doing recently is spending a good amount of time making sure our investing profile is kind of getting to where we want it to be. So, when we think about really kind of building ourselves up to have some more of that financial freedom and some more of the options, we're really thinking that money in the bank just turns to dust. Inflation eats it up, it's not worth anything, right? We can talk about emergency funds and having rainy day bits and pieces, but there's this really simple reality, which is that once you start putting inflation over your money, you're going to be a poorer person at the end of the day. Contrast that with the investor now. The investor's the person who's going to absolutely have that little bit of extra cash tucked in their pocket in the long run. They're going to be spending that money in the bank. They buy the asset. Over time, the asset goes up in value. The asset generates some cash flow. And so over time, we think that the investor does a little bit better. So when I look at our kind of situation, one of the reasons that I believe we're kind of probably broke at the minute is because we've really taken a lot more financial risk when it comes to our investing. So I think it's the type of investment as well as the amount of money that we've simply put into things. Honestly, I'm a little bit unsure about what's going to happen or if it's even a good idea or not. It's one of those things, hindsight's a wonderful thing, right? I think for me, it's like, I have no clue. I'm a big believer in you've got to kind of trust your gut instinct for quite a lot. You've got to trust your intuition for quite a lot. You've got to be willing to just put yourself out there a little bit. And when it comes to things like money, we want to respect it, we want to value it, but we don't want to kind of put too much emphasis on it. I think it's the case that we've got to be willing to kind of live basic. We've got to be confident that if we lose money, we can make it back again. We've got to be willing to look at our lifestyle and say, where can we save money? But for me, it's not saving to go on the defensive. It's saving to be offensive. It's saving to look and say, how can we build up more? Because that build is going to essentially translate into more and better options as we go forward. And it's funny, I jump on cam and you've got the, I think it's the Amazon person who's just at the door. No issue. Guys, what we've been doing recently is really kind of pushing ourselves a little bit more. Two big areas that I'm happy to share. So one is property. So both investment property as well as the property that we currently live in. We're really committing capital to improving them, to acquiring investment properties and improving where we live. And by improvement, I mean really making changes that can add capital value to your homes. And I think it's probably a really obvious time in some respects, because if you look at our age and if you look at the fact that we've got a family and if you look at where property prices are going, improving your home is a lot easier to do than buying a new one. Even with the stamp duty holidays, trading up, for example, it's still quite expensive because you're not necessarily saving tons, right? I think for us, we like where we live, we like the home that we have, and we see enough potential for that improvement to come through. But importantly, with the improvement, we're always looking for capital. And for me, I'm looking for capital on the home that I live in immediately. Because I know that if my capital is going to come down the line, I've made a trade that may not be a great one, right? Because I could take the money that I'd invest to improve my home, spend it on an investment property, you're going to get a better return. So I'm looking for immediate return on where I live. But on the investment property front, it's still absolutely unbelievable. I mean, one of the most incredible things that the penny's dropping for me, like just more and more consistently, is that people can't afford to buy anywhere to live. It's really tough. And even with all the different schemes out there, I think it's really difficult. If you're looking to get on the ladder to start, I definitely suggest go and have a look at the schemes out there that will help get you on the ladder early. Because over time, what happens is inflation increases the cost of the goods you're buying. So essentially your savings, cash savings, goes down. But it increases the cost of your assets. So your property value is going to go up. Over time, I think property wins. So we've been going for it. Both investment property and where we live. The other reason that we're broke is crypto. And it's incredible. Like so many, I am absolutely a crypto bull. And a bull means I'm optimistic about its potential. And for a long time, my stance has never ever really changed. I can see why crypto adoption makes a lot of sense. I can see why investing some of your portfolio in crypto makes a lot of sense. And some of us who have been lucky enough, I think, have probably made bigger investments earlier. Look, you can always question it, and you can always look, and it's definitely not a risk-averse decision. It is a much higher risk decision. But I just feel broadly okay with it, which kind of sounds strange because that's not how I would normally assess my risk, to look and say I feel broadly okay. But I think crypto has emerged as a very important asset class for making us challenge how we think about investing. I almost think of it like, say, the internet when it first came out, or Amazon when it first came out. If somebody had said to you, you're going to buy books through something like Amazon, you wouldn't have believed them. If they then said to you, you will start off buying books, but what you'll actually then consume is your music, your television, you'll buy your groceries, you'll buy anything for home improvement. Oh, and you'll buy books through Amazon. I think most people would have looked and asked you kind of what illegal substance are you using. It would have been a pretty ridiculous discussion. But now it's become reality. Well, crypto could be like that for money, right? It could be like that for investing. It could be like that for how we manage assets. So I've taken a bet, a big bet. It was paying off really well at a point in time, and luckily we were able to kind of take some chips off the table. When you look at it now, I mean, net we're up overall. We're possibly down. Well, we're certainly down over the last few months. But I really believe this is one of those transformative kind of investments that could just it could create something for generations. If I lose, I lose. Hey ho, and I'm gonna get the headache from it. When I speak to Leanne, she's going to be saying, "Dude, you're the one who made the call on this, not me." She's not really like that, but she could do. But if it wins, I think we're going to win big. So those are the bets, and as a result, we are absolutely broke. We're usually really, really disciplined. Don't often have this kind of don't often have many concerns because we live within our means, right? So we're always the kind of people who look and say, if we earn 10, we save 2 and spend 8 kind of thing. So over time, you're not really in a position where you're worrying too much, because I'd rather, my car outside is, I don't even know, 13 years old. And the other car is 15 years old or something silly like that. So that gives you a sense, right? We don't need to have the newest and flashiest cars. But we kind of stay within our boundaries so that we can play hard in other areas. But what we have done is we have played very hard in property, both on the investment and on the ownership and on the owner occupier side, and we've played hard in crypto. It's a risk, guys, and it's just one that I want to share with you, because the prospect of being broke had surprised me, it made me laugh. I'm not sure I feel worried. I don't think I feel worried. I think we're going to be absolutely fine. But it's a very risky position to be in. Particularly if you've got a family, particularly if you may not have much job security, you can easily find yourself overextended. We're certainly not over leveraged, but we might be overextended. And it's over leveraged means that you've taken on lots of kind of debt to do what you're doing. I believe very heavily in debt, but we're not over leveraged. Just be mindful of it. I'm just sharing my experiences with you here quite openly, but it's one of those things where you've got to have a pretty strong stomach to not be nervous, when you find yourself in that position where you reflect and you're like, I'm broke right now. Because I'm definitely broke right now. I'm pretty sure we're always going to have food on the table because our mothers will certainly never let us go hungry. And I'm very grateful for that. But, it's one of the things that you've got to really balance as a kind of investor, as a human being, as a parent, and it just, just as a regular person going about your day-to-day work, is those moments where you have those kind of either setbacks or you have those little realizations that you're taking a lot of risk. I think it's a really, really interesting situation that we can find ourselves in. If you can, build up some tools and some skills to get confident in it, well, that's all great. I think a lot of what we do day to day and maybe a lot of the things that we read, you can see our shelves behind us, that probably helps us kind of stay a little bit more balanced and a little bit more grounded on these things. But don't be afraid as well, I think is one lesson that I'm kind of taking on my journey right now, is you've got to know when to play hard and when to take risks. And I think when we're kind of like fairly young and we've got quite a long time ahead of us, there's a lot of time to actually make up ground. So even if you lose something, you've got a lot of time to make things back. But I think maybe beforehand, before we started to try to expand our thinking, I think we would have played it pretty safe, like even safer quite early. And it probably would have been the wrong decision because we would never have taken a risk that would have been big enough to try to make more of life. So I think it's that really fine balance, Make sure you play smart, but also kind of my reflection and maybe a lesson that I would share with my son is make sure you're willing to take some kind of risks pretty early, take them pretty big if you can, because then you've got a long time to recover. And if all else fails, I mean, he'll probably come to the bank of mum and dad, assuming we've not gone out of business. He'll probably come and try and get us to bail him out. Not everybody has that option. But I just want to kind of keep it real with you about how we sometimes have to kind of balance the risk taking, plus the caution, plus looking after other parts of our life, plus just kind of not really having any stress. I think it's probably important in life. We don't have like too much unnecessary, unproductive stress. It doesn't really help anybody. Look, guys, as ever, please, if you've enjoyed the content, please drop us a subscribe and smash that like button. Look forward to kind of chatting with you next time and sharing where we are on the journey. All right, guys, take care. Bye.